तो ऐसा लगता है कि सर ने सर मुड़वा दिया है. सर here is special intensive revision, and sir mudwana means basically disenfranchisement. So recently you know that ki special investigation revision is going on in Bihar, and that has resulted into a national level discourse, even let's say that ki arguments and counter arguments going on in Supreme Court as it is hearing that case. So, what is that special investigation revision and why it is being done? Basically, how many types of such revisions are done by Election Commission of India? What is its evolution, how it has evolved, how this special investigation revision is different from past revisions or other types of revisions, a comparative view on that, what is legal and constitutional mandate on this, how let's say that law, what law says on that. Then let's say we will talk about the issues which have been faced, what are the issues that now it is being debated, and what has been the response to those issues, especially the steps taken on that, and what Supreme Court said to Election Commission of India. And then let's say that we will show what are those 12 documents which we considered as the list of ID proof which Election Commission of India has come up, including Aadhaar you should know, and at the same time we will try to give overview thereafter that what such let's say these developments and issues give message to us. And then we will pose you one prelims oriented question and we'll ask you to answer that, and then let's say that we will have our way forward on this. So basically if you take a special intensive revision, so it is intensive, a special intensive revision. So let's say that the first two terms have a special meaning. A special means it is, let's say on particular occasion for a particular purpose it is done. Intensive means it will be very let's say that you can consider comprehensively done. It will require a rigorous evaluation of documents and address proofs of voters, and voters would be forced to respond. This is how they would be forced to respond. They will have to respond. That is called a special intensive revision. That demands house to house visit by let's say booth level agents, booth level officers. They are supposed to go and check voters let's say documents, and they are asked, voters are asked to respond, fill up those forms, produce those certificates etc. for their ID proofs so that they can be added in electoral rolls. This is called a special intensive revision. You should know that the Election Commission of India has three types of revisions. One we say special intensive revision, second is called that summary revision, and third is called that continuous revision. Summary revision is also like let's say that Election Commission of India can take up it, time to time it conducts, but that summary revision is not intensive you can consider. Continuous revision is an ongoing process which starts in January, let's say it has a date, January 1st it starts, and let's say it is done throughout the year. You can also let's say bring change in your voter ID in terms of your address, in terms of registration, in terms of your deletion. If you have changed your place, if there is any migration from one city to another city. So basically we can say that there are three types of revisions done by Election Commission of India. One is called that continuous revision, ongoing process, summary revision which is done time to time, a special intensive revision that is also done let's say on particular occasion with a particular purpose, and that is how it is being done in Bihar. What is that particular purpose in Bihar that it is being done? So let's say that there are let's say 3-4 factors for that. One is called security factor, border areas, porous areas, and now you know security concerns have increased given you know that Bangladesh and let's say now Nepal conditions we can consider. So this security concern Demography has changed in that area, so demography concern, migrations, people have migrated, and let's say that then free and fair elections. So these are the four factors for which this special intensive revision is being done. One is security, next is demography, third is free and fair elections, and let's say that next is migration. Then let's say question is that how this revision is different from past revision, whether it is first time happening special intensive revision, not at all. You know that in 1950s when we started, that time also there were such kind of intensive revisions. During 60s, 70s also revisions. During TN session, 90s also you know that when voter ID, new voter ID, let's say that things were introduced by a TN session, so to deal against rigging and others. That time also, let's say there was a special intensive revision. And then thereafter also in Andhra Pradesh, in Tamil Nadu, means it has happened. So it is not first time happening, in past it has happened. Then the question comes that how it is different from past. It is different because first it has been very suddenly announced. This now it is being done, let's say when you have Aadhaar, and Aadhaar has been implemented in all sort of schemes and programs, and Aadhaar has been considered as something as ID proof also. That we can consider, and it is very intensive. All those voters who are not in electoral roll till 2003 in Bihar, they have been asked to apply so that their names can be added in electoral rolls, and if they are not eligible, their names can be also deleted. It is about addition, revision, deletion. This you should know that. That is how, let's say this time this difference we can consider. It is intensive, it is house to house visit, and it can be addition, deletion, revision, you can say that. More is about, let's say it has been criticized for deletion. Then the question comes that what are the constitutional mandates, and then what are the legal provisions for such kind of activities. So you should know that Article 324 gives plenary power to Election Commission of India, means broad powers to Election Commission of India to conduct such kind of revisions of electoral rolls, to conduct free and fair elections. Then as far as legal framework is concerned, we have Representation of People Act 1950, and then we have, let's say, electoral registration rules, we have 1960, and law means the Representation of People Act, and then let's say we have electoral registration rules 1960. They are the two laws which provide framework for revision, addition, and deletion. So that is how we can say about the legal framework if you talk. Then according to that Representation Act rules, there are, let's say, forms, let's say categories of forms, and one category of form is considered Form 7, and that is how recently it was in news that it has a particular format and you have to fill up, you have to apply, produce the list of documents for, let's say, ID proof. If you fail to provide, so your name can be deleted. Then since it is not happening first time, already it has happened in past, and let's say that the Election Commission of India keeps doing it, then why it is in so much debate, why the, let's say, case has gone to Supreme Court. So this time when it is happening, so there are basically 4 issues associated with special investigation revision in Bihar. First issue is related to, you should know that it is suddenly announced. Election is quite near, and then suddenly Election Commission of India has announced that it will go for intensive revision, and you know that in Bihar they were flooded. It was a flood time also, flood season also, and it is also a bit, let's say, backward state, you can say, especially rural areas. People are not aware that much in terms of documentation, filling up form and other things. They need assistance. So timeliness has been questioned, you can say. Suddenly announced, then you have to have list of let's say documents, flood season. So that is how timeliness has been questioned. Second important question is that the Election Commission of India refused to accept Aadhaar as ID proof. That was again very debatable because the government has been promoting Aadhaar as ID proof. Aadhaar has been seeded with many schemes and programs including direct benefit transfer. The government has seeded Aadhaar with DBT, transferring funds in our list of beneficiaries, and the same Aadhaar is being told that it is not acceptable. Are we transferring money in the accounts of, let's say, that illegal immigrants through Aadhaar, and that is being done by the government? But it is a separate issue. We are not considering that. But this is how, let's say, when Aadhaar was refused to be accepted, it was, let's say, something, let's say, that frowning at Election Commission of India that why it is doing so. And then third category is lack of transparency. You know that Election Commission of India was criticized that it lacks transparency in the whole process, and then it refused also to share 65 lakh voters which it deleted. So even in Supreme Court it forced to, it gave reply that it would not disclose the names. That issue, lack of transparency, we can consider in the age of when we say transparency is not promoted. And then next aspect is considered the lack of preparedness by Election Commission of India to address the grievances of people as suddenly it was announced. So these things ultimately resulted into ADR challenging it in Supreme Court, and then case hearing was done time to time, and then Supreme Court has forced Election Commission of India to adopt more inclusive and transparent approach in terms of intensive revision. Hence, Supreme Court asked Election Commission of India to publish the names of 65 lakh voters which it considered either, let's say, that means sad voters, shifted, this absent, dead. That is called sad voters, let's say, in Election Commission of India language. So it asked Election Commission of India to publish their names to maintain transparency. Election Commission of India was also asked by Supreme Court to accept Aadhaar as 12th ID proof document, which it accepted. Therefore, you can say that in intensive revision in Bihar, the total 7.2 crore people applied, means this is how the applications were received, of which 65 lakh voters were found to be dead or absent, or let's say that Election Commission of India considered them that they are not eligible or they are no longer existing, so it deleted. This is how it says. And let's say that Supreme Court asked to consider Aadhaar also as a list of address proof. Therefore, after all these issues and hearing, what steps have been taken? Aadhaar has been added. So you can see there are list of 12 documents. On the screen you can see how the list of 12 documents which are now part of, let's say, ID proof. If the voters produce it, anyone produces that, so that person may be considered as eligible as voter. This second is to maintain transparency. Election Commission of India has published them. So you have to maintain transparency on portal also. Then you have to give more and more chance to people to, let's say that apply, come up, and let's say that fill up their forms, revision of that form, then you go door to door, ask to them, address their grievances, take the help of stakeholders. So that is how now ultimately towards end the process seems to be more transparent, more inclusive. Otherwise it was being considered as an exercise of not addition but rather deletion. Hence a special investigation revision was termed as an exercise of disenfranchisement. And then it went on raising lots of issues relating to electoral process and electoral roll reviews, including integrity, fairness, justice, inclusivity you can consider, impartiality you can say. So lots of issues were raised. So ethical issues were raised also. You can see on the screen some of the ethical issues which we have listed for special investigation revision, so that you can have also ethical lens of understanding, and then finally we can give an overview that you should know. So representation of People's Act, Article 324, all these things can give power, it can be legally defensible, but our actions should be also ethically defensible. We should be empathetic, we should be compassionate, we should be approachable. The Election Commission of India may have shown, or it should have shown, a bit more inclusiveness, preparedness in all these overall exercise, since it was very sudden, and that's also in a state where people may find it difficult to fill up form themselves, understand the special investigation revision terms and conditions, and at local level machineries may not also be aware. So as far as legality is concerned, it is not a problem for free and fair elections. Electoral rolls should be continuously reviewed, and any such errors should be certainly, let's say that ki, eliminated. But at the same time, you know that ki, citizens are master in democracy. Government has also social contract, and it is supposed to serve people, not disturb people. That's why we will say that ki Abraham Lincoln says in this regard, ballot is more popular than bullet. So this is what we can give our view on a special intensive revision, and then we will end up with posing a question which you can attempt. So which of the following, let's say that key officers you find as empowered as per the law to delete any voter? So you can respond your answers in your comment part. We'll also give answer in the comment part. So hope it helps you understand what is about a special investigation revision in Bihar and get a view of its pros and cons and also way forward.